lot of really great uptake on all the questions that everybody wants to know from us. So just before we get started, I'm just going to ask that if you aren't presenting, if you could just turn your camera off and turn your microphone off as well, just so that we don't have any bandwidth issues. We did have over 200 people RSVP to this. We're really excited. And then also a note that we're going to be recording this webinar, and it will be posted on one of our websites as well. I'll be sending out a link and resources after this. So just be aware that we are recording for this. But to start and to kick things off, I'd like to welcome our fearless leader, our Dean of Faculty of Kinesiology, Sport and Recreation, Dr. Carrie Mummery.
Oh, thanks, David. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of virtually see the students in this most unusual year. I'm sure you're all congregating now, hoping that we'll give you some answers. Yes, I'm the Dean of the Faculty, and I'm entering my 11th year as Dean of the Faculty. So not quite a lifetime, but I've been doing this for quite a while. I'm kind of a graduate of the faculty, kind of. And the reason I say that is because I took my PhD here about 30 years ago, and in the faculty, but actually in the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Research, although I was embedded within the faculty, did all my research within the faculty, and taught within the faculty. And then from there, I took a job in Australia, and I moved my wife and my two daughters to Australia, and we lived there for 14 years, and then I came back to be the Dean of the Faculty in 2010. So I wanted to welcome everybody and just give you a little bit of both a welcome and sort of a what to look forward to. I mean, personally, I think this is the best faculty in the world. We've got great programs, very high standards. Everyone, congratulations to everyone who's got in. It's extremely high standards to get in. But what I'm so proud of are the graduates of our faculty, because I meet many of them, and the faculty's been around now since 1964, so 56 years. So I meet a great deal of our graduates over the years, and they inevitably go on to do great things. And I think it's partially because the faculty is a good faculty, and we give you a great experience, and we give you great education. But it's partially the people we attract, you. We attract people who are good students, which is important, but good people, which is much more important. This is a people-focused faculty. If you're coming into this faculty, you're coming in because you have an interest in people. You have an interest in sport. You have an interest in physical activity. You have an interest in exercise. You have an interest in health. You have an interest in recreation. Whatever that interest is, it's really focused on people. So we are people, and our graduates and our students are people. I won't take too long, except to say that this will be a very exciting period of your life, and it will be a very thrilling period of your life. And let that settle for a bit. It'll be exciting and thrilling. Think about things that you do that are exciting and thrilling. They don't always go as planned. Matter of fact, if it's truly exciting and absolutely thrilling, they rarely go as planned. There's bumps on the road. There's corners that you never saw coming. There's different directions that you go. So over the next 4 or 5 years, you will be getting either a degree in kinesiology, Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology, Bachelor of Kinesiology, or a degree in recreation, which will mean that you will have something that I don't have. I don't have a phys ed degree, I don't have a kinesiology degree, I don't have a recreation degree. I have a Bachelor of Environmental Science degree with a dream when I was your age of being a marine biologist. That's what I thought I was going to be. That's what I went into university to study. And that was at the University of Manitoba, which is basically the epicenter of Canada. At that point, I'd never seen the ocean, I'd never been to the ocean, and you couldn't be much further from the ocean than you are in Winnipeg. But I wanted to be a marine biologist. Well, life changes, opportunities come, and what we'd like to do at the faculty is position you as best as we can to take those opportunities when they present themselves. You won't know what they are, and you won't know when they're coming. I ended up living in Australia. I'm now a dual Australian-Canadian citizen. And if you would have told me when I was 18, 17, 19 years old, that I'd be a dual Canadian-Australian citizen, a professor and a dean of a faculty, my answer probably would have been, what's a dean? I had no idea. What's this about? So you're about to engage in a very exciting phase of your life. It will be a phase that you'll never forget. And it will be thrilling. It will be exciting. There'll be many bumps in the road and many turns to the road that you don't expect. And it's how you handle those that will make you the person that you will become. And I'm guaranteeing you that when you're finished our program, you'll go on and you'll be successful. The problem is right now, you may not know. I'd be stunned if you knew what you were going to be successful in. And that's the exciting thing about life. So I'm going to come back on a little bit later and answer many of your questions, but now I'm going to turn it over to David so we can keep things moving. Welcome. I look forward to virtually seeing you and seeing you in person come the fall and winter terms this year. Over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dean Memory. So first up, well, I guess second up, sorry, we have Dr. Angela Beyduza, who is our Associate Dean of Undergraduate Programs, here to speak about how courses are going to work in fall of 2020.
Thank you, David. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm going to apologize up front if my video gets a little choppy. I actually might have to close out my video. As David mentioned, I am one of those people who experience bandwidth issues. I live in a rural setting east of Shore Park, so fingers crossed that my internet will hold up for us here. But I want to first congratulate our new KSR, Faculty of Kinesiology, Sport and Recreation, newly admitted students. Congratulations. We received almost just under 2,000 applications for fall 2020 entry. We had approximately 335 spots available to students for intake this year. So as Dean Mummery has said, congratulations on receiving admission. And of course, we're so thankful that you've chosen us to study with at the University of Alberta. And we are working really, really hard to ensure we uphold and meet and exceed the standard and the high quality of programming that we expect of ourselves in the Faculty of Kinesiology, Sport and Recreation. I also want to extend a great welcome back and thank you for continuing with KSR to those students who have been admitted and are members of our program and have already completed courses with us. We are also continuing to work hard and build upon the experiences of winter 2020. We understand it was a very difficult transition. We essentially transitioned our entire program in less than 48 hours to online remote delivery. And for fall 2020, we started planning immediately after winter term ended. And so I just want to assure you that significant amounts of work have gone into and will continue to go into the quality and the delivery of our remote programming. The vast majority of our courses will be delivered remotely in fall 2020. We do not yet have word officially as to what is going to be happening in winter 21. At most of the meetings that I am in, we're being told not to assume that we will be back into face-to-face on campus for the majority of courses in winter. But what we're doing right now is focusing on our fall 2020 course delivery. There's a significant amount of work going in to supporting our instructors, both at the faculty level and as well as the central level, that we're, again, trying hard to be able to deliver the highest quality programming that you expect of us and that we intend to deliver. So there was a bit of a survey, I guess, sent out, and we were given a whole bunch of questions to try and give you some sense of what it will be like. when you join us again in fall 2020. So I'm not going to get into every specific question, but I want to give you sort of a summary of the themes of the questions that I've been asked to answer this evening. So essentially, you can expect the vast majority, if not all, of KSR courses to be delivered through the eClass learning platform. So it's our version of Moodle, if you will. So I would encourage all of you on the call tonight to get familiar with eClass. So when you go to the U of A webpage, at the top of the page, there's a little link where you can click eClass, and using your U Alberta CCID and passcode, you can log into eClass and you can start to get familiar with that platform. I also encourage you to get familiar with what's commonly referred to at the U of Alberta, IST, or Information Services and Technology. They have a great section on their website as well, specifically related to supporting students in online learning. So again, we'll share these resources with you after the session tonight. But those are two key platforms that you probably want to get aware of. eClass is actually the delivery platform. It'll often be used in combination with Google suite of applications. But I'd also get yourself familiar with IST. They are a great support if you have technological issues. Let's say you don't even have a CCID yet and you're not sure. I hope the majority of you do, but IST is a great resource if you want to go ahead and contact them. And again, we'll share these resources with you after tonight's call. A lot of you are asking if the workload's going to be different. You can expect a lot of changes for sure. That's without question. We're all in what we have heard hundreds of times, unprecedented times. And a move to online and remote delivery actually will change a lot of the types of learning activities that you do, assessments that you'll be asked to complete. You'll see a lot more of what we would refer to as written or completion of written assignments in assessments. You might see a little bit more of group work, and often online or remote delivery does ask the learner to be somewhat more accountable for their own learning in their own self-paced learning of the content of the course. So you should expect some difference, but ultimately the workload amount should be about the same. It's just going to be different in terms of its delivery, obviously. We do have a list of courses that we've put in for application for exemption from remote delivery. We hope to have that information of those approvals of those courses. We had approximately 10% of our courses, which was about 11 courses that we put in an application for exemption. We should be hearing those decisions very soon, and those will be communicated out both centrally, university, as well as the faculty. So stay tuned. Early July, which is next week, hard to believe. You should expect, if you begin a course that is online or remote delivered, that it will continue throughout the entire fall 2020 term, regardless if the pandemic conditions improve or get worse, which I hope that it does not. But you should expect to finish out the entire fall 2020 term in remote delivery. All of our courses that include an activity component, such as PAC courses or lab components, or physically activity-based courses, such as my course that I teach, will all be delivered in a remote fashion. You should be aware that our PAC 100 courses, for example, are not focused on your skill as a mover. They're focused on learning objectives regarding your understanding of movement. So expect those types of courses to focus much more on the cognitive and the affective domains of your learning and of your understanding. So in some of our lab-based, experiential-based courses, you may see situations where an instructor will ask you to perhaps demonstrate your skill and your understanding of that skill. So it's sequencing, it's key technique, how you might instruct it, how you might put together a practice plan, how you might coordinate and consider EDI, or equity, diversity, and inclusion in the movement approach of that movement. So you could expect those kinds of things. In lab-based courses, you may have an instructor who will ask you to demonstrate your ability to take your pulse through video and video interviewing. So it will be varied, but your physical activity, again, the focus is not on how successful a mover you are. It's about your understanding and your cognitive domain or dimension of that learning. Another key question that we've been getting is it possible to study and complete courses if I'm not in Edmonton or if I can't be on campus? I want to emphatically say yes, absolutely. And that's what we're working really hard to help instructors through, to make sure that both synchronous, so in the moment where everybody comes at a scheduled time, both synchronous and asynchronous, where items of learning are pre-recorded or recorded and converted in the moment so that they can be referred to in the future by students. That is absolutely going to be our focus this year when we're working with our instructors. But I would encourage you to really focus on communicating with your instructor. We do have courses that are 20 people in the course, all the way up to 200 people in a course. And I really would encourage you to please connect with and communicate with your instructor so that they know that your life context and circumstance right now is preventing you from being in a synchronous manner with the class or with the course. And it's really important that you develop that communication with your instructors so that the instructor can respond and work with you to develop an accommodation or an opportunity for you to successfully complete the course. So I would encourage you to even get on Google and check out the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning. Synchronous activities obviously are planned and in the moment will typically be with the course schedule of your course. So if you're scheduled to be in a course from Monday, Wednesday to Friday at 9 o'clock to 9:50, synchronous learning activities will occur on those days and those times. But again, instructors are being worked with to make sure that anything synchronously delivered will be converted and delivered in an asynchronous manner as well. So absolutely, if you're not with us here in Edmonton or cannot be on campus, but you still want to complete the course, instructors will work with you. But again, communicate and make sure you work with the instructor through that. One of the other questions was, will courses be more assignment-based rather than exam-based with the move to online learning? The university has encouraged instructors to move away from, as best as they can and as appropriate to their courses, to move away from high-stakes online-based exams. However, I would say you might see a bit of a mixed bag here, but in KSR we are working with instructors to follow with that recommendation that has been given to us centrally by the university. We are working with instructors to think more broadly about assessment, about academic integrity, but also to be able to accommodate students who are going to be with us remotely from various parts of Alberta, Canada, and of course internationally. A couple things that I want to mention to you as well about winter 2020. Again, please don't assume that we will be face-to-face. The assumption right now is that you don't assume we're going to be in winter 2020 and face-to-face. We may see a bit of an increase in some of our courses this year, but that will be, again, based on a course-by-course basis, and we'll make sure that, again, it's pedagogically appropriate to do so. Again, you may see final exams as they traditionally been held. Remember, even if you are in another location, the registrar's office is asking that all instructors, when they apply or they use online exams, that they follow the scheduled course time and date of the course. So again, if you have an issue with completing an exam in the synchronous manner of the course, please work with your instructor, again, to work through an opportunity for accommodations for those situations. I think I have about answered all of the questions that I think I got that were assigned to me. But again, I'll stay on the line and try to answer any of your questions. But I'm going to turn it back over to David for the next section. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, Angela. So yeah, we are going to be, just in case I forgot to mention this, we're going to be posting a lot of the questions to like one-off, or a lot of the answers to one-off questions in a document that I'll be sharing with all participants and all students after all this is done. And I'll also be including links to all the resources that are mentioned by anybody who's presenting. So don't worry if you don't have a pen and paper, I'm going to be sending all that out. Your next presenter is me. So I'm going to be quickly talking about orientation and social opportunities that are going to be happening in KSR in fall 2020. The first question that I got was, what does orientation look like? I'm excited to answer this. I get to plan orientation each year. So I've actually developed an online course for it called On eClass. The reason that I wanted to do this is that I wanted to make sure that students had the opportunity to get familiar with the eClass system before you're using it in a course-based environment. Details on access to the course and all of the specific details about orientation are going to come out later this summer, likely in the beginning of August. So just keep an eye on your University of Alberta emails for that if you are an incoming newly admitted student. Another question that we got is regarding social events and our faculty association, which is the Kinesiology, Sport and Recreation Student Society, abbreviated as KSRs or KSRSS. So I reached out to them. They don't have any concrete events planned for this quite yet. They really want to make sure that they're engaging with students and making sure that the types of events that they plan are getting students excited about them and that they're addressing the needs that students have. So they might be running study sessions, they might be running social opportunities, but they're also looking for feedback on what types of events you want to have from them. So also one of the questions that we got was about workout facilities and recreation spaces on campus. So I did reach out to one of the associate directors in our campus and community recreation area. They run a lot of recreation in our facilities on campus, and they're a part of our faculty as well. They are currently planning to have a gradual reopening that follows provincial and university guidelines for the stages of reopening. Hopefully to do that throughout the summer and opening different spaces gradually. One of the things that they did want to promote was that they do have free classes throughout the summer and into the fall. So if you're wanting to do recreation programming online, they do have a lot of courses that they're offering right now. So I'll be including a link to that as well. So one of the other areas that I take care of for our faculty is awards and scholarships on the undergraduate side of things. I just want to assure students that if you were offered an athletic-based scholarship, an entrance scholarship, it's going to be applied towards your tuition directly. If it is more than what your tuition costs, then you'll be getting either a check mailed to your address, or if you have direct deposit set up, then it will go directly into your bank account for any overflow amount. They're also wanting to know if kinesiology students are going to be living together in residence. For that, we don't have a large enough student body to have a dedicated area for kinesiology, sport and recreation in residence, but you are able to request to live either with or near certain people. Lastly, I wanted to just talk about practicums. So practicums are something that is going to be affected by you're going to be impacted by that in about your fourth year. So if you're just coming into the faculty, you're just in your first year, don't worry about this yet. Don't let this freak you out if you've never heard this term before. It's something to start thinking about as you progress through your degree. But we just want to make sure that people know that practicum information sessions are going to be hosted online. We do have a practicum advisor that is dedicated to making sure that she is going to be making all of the information sessions accessible. She's also available for appointments if you want to go over your resume, if you want to review postings for practicums together, or if you need help with anything in general. Some fall practicums are going to be hosted in person, depending on whether or not the agency is able to take people in person. And this can obviously change throughout the fall term depending on how the global situation is going, how the local situation is going. The big thing that she wanted to stress is that if your practicum is planned on working with aspects of the population that could be vulnerable to different health concerns, you will have to be ready to be adaptable and a little bit more proactive in the response. So you might not get to work in person. It's going to be a little bit more touchy with that. So that's everything that I had to talk about. Next, I'm actually going to be putting it back to Carrie or Dean Mummery to just briefly talk about tuition.
Tuition. Okay. Well, there's a couple of questions actually, and I'll start with, and I'll just show that I've changed my background. This is our MS bike team. Every year, except this year, as a faculty, we challenge our students to ride and raise money for a cause. And this cause we've done now for 5 years is multiple sclerosis. And it came from the students. So I've ridden every year, well, for 4 years. We're not riding this year. So that's the background. A couple of things I wanted to talk about was just the basically the effects of the pandemic. And there have been questions about tuition. There have also been some questions about facilities. I've put some information about facilities up there, and questions about the best web browsers, etc. So if you have any questions, I'm watching the chat right now. But basically, we've got a couple of things which are tuition and also mandatory non-instructional fees, both of which will contribute to the successful operation of the university. So there has been a push to reduce tuition, and actually, given budget cuts, it's very important that tuition continues to cover the costs of delivery, because really delivering online, delivering in person, I understand that the delivery experience may be different, but the costs to the faculty are virtually no different. So we are committed to giving you the best experience we possibly can, given the constraints that we're under, and to do so with obviously the economy is not very good, but the tuition will not go up this year, but also it will not come down. So although we understand that the experience will be very different initially, we have to have everything in place for when you do return to campus. Ideally, you'll return to campus, possibly even in the fall. I've put up some of the links that shows you the timing of our facility tentatively reopening. We're working very hard behind the scenes to get all of our sport and recreation facilities open so that you can access them whether or not you're learning in person. As Angela said, you will have some classes that may be offered as an exception to remote learning, and we will be announcing those. The university will be announcing those in early July. Early July is next week, so that's something to look at as well. The only sort of tricky bit there, I think, for students to work through is if you're learning remotely and not in Edmonton and deciding that it works better for you to stay wherever your home is, and then you have one class that's now going to have an exception, you may want to talk to your advisors about whether you should come in to take that one class and study remotely, or whether you can delay that class. It's pretty important that you follow those things very, very quickly because that'll drive some of your decisions. In terms of online education, as I said, I taught in Australia for 14 years, and I did a tremendous amount of online education while I was there. And I have to say, I started out as not being a particular fan of delivering online because I quite like to stand up and speak in front of students. It's something that I've grown to love. But over the years, I found that online education actually works very well if done correctly. But it does have a few things that are different to it. Whenever you're in a class, if you were ever in one of my classes, I'd tell you, come and get to know me. Get yourself so that I know you and you know me. Don't just be a person who sits in the back of the class and I never know the face and never know the name. Get to know your instructor. Well, I think you have to do the same thing online as well. but online requires probably more discipline than face-to-face in-class structure, because you are by yourself. And one of the great, and Angela talked about synchronous and asynchronous learning. Asynchronous learning means you can go in and do it anytime. Synchronous learning means that there is a lecture at Wednesday at 1 o'clock, you need to log online and you need to be listening to that lecture and interacting in the seminar, etc. So the beauty of synchronous is it orders your day. The beauty of asynchronous is that you can do it anytime you want. The problem with asynchronous is you can do it anytime you want. And I've seen over the years, my many years of teaching in online, that you must be very disciplined, because when you can do it anytime you want, you put it off. And if you put it off too much, then the stress comes at the end. So we'll work very hard. Angela is our Associate Dean undergrad. She's been working very hard with our Vice Dean, with all of our professors to enhance the online learning experience. We'll probably use online learning through the balance of your degree in one way, shape, or form, but we look very much forward to getting you back. I'm looking for some questions here. How long are we expecting? We'll run to yes, we'll run till 8 o'clock. So we've got about 30 minutes left here in this thing. I'm also being asked to speak about the future of the faculty. So there have been tremendous budget cuts given to the university, to all universities in the province, because of the way that the economy's gone. Those budget cuts mean that we are working very hard at all levels of the university to maintain the excellence of our programs. I'm very proud to say that they started ranking sport-related programs, which happen to be kinesiology and recreation. Worldwide, we've always been in the top 10. We are the highest rated subject area at the university, and one of the few in Canada that are rated top 10 in the world. But one of the things that we have to do is we have to respond to the budget cuts. And the budget cuts have come because the economy is not good. The oil industry is, at one point, was negative price for oil. I wanted to buy 10,000 barrels, put them in my backyard. I knew it was going to come up, but I think that was a virtual thing. And then COVID has complicated things. So there has been certainly rumors and discussions by our incoming president about faculty restructure. Whether or not the faculty continues in its current name and form is somewhat irrelevant to you. Very relevant to me. I love the faculty. I loved it when I was here. I love to come back to it. But a faculty is really just an organizational structure. What you are registering into is a program. It's either the BSc, the BSc Kin, the BKin, or the BARS degree. Those are programs, and those programs are definitely not at threat. Those three programs are among the most popular programs and the highest demand programs at this university. So we have absolutely no worry that our programs will change. They may be administratively housed within the next few years in a different looking structure, but really for you, I don't think there'll be anything that will change. If you were registering into a program that had very low demand, very low student demand, etc., that could be a bit of a worry, but you're entering into the program that is actually the highest demand at the university for any undergraduate program. So the faculty may or may not change as we work our way through the necessarily steps that we need to address various budget problems. But our goal at the faculty is to seamlessly take on these changes and really provide very little in the way of change for you as students. And I don't see really any possibility that your programs will change any more than they change on a regular quality assurance basis, where we look at the programs, we go to the students, we ask for feedback, what things need to change, what things don't need to change. We're constantly trying to update and upgrade our programs to give you the best learning experience. And that actually will not change regardless of faculty structure. I'm just going to take a quick look. Will the faculty be losing full-time professors for contract work or to reduce budgets? No, there's no threat of losing professors at this point. We are unable to remove professors. What we have done, and I am about to announce, we're just waiting to complete the paperwork, we have installed a new teaching professors. So we will be adding teaching professors, which is different than sessional lecturers. We're adding people who specialize in teaching at the university level, and we've gone through a complete development of these positions, and we are about to appoint our first 2 new teaching professors. How will opportunities for incoming students be different from before due to online learning? Well, we're all trying to figure that out. I think the issue will be, how do we interact with our students? How do you interact with your professors in the online environment? Having taught online, I found a mix. I found some people absolutely benefit from being in a class, in a classroom structure, etc., and getting to know the professor. And I found that some people actually perform better and prefer online. So I think it's a very individual difference. But you have to engage. You have to engage, whether it's a virtual engagement, whether it's a real engagement. You must engage. And I think that this is one of the biggest things with going through your degree. You must engage with your other students, and you must engage with faculty and staff. Get to know people, whether you get to know them virtually, whether you initially, because COVID is temporary. I don't know how long temporary is, but it is temporary. Before you got on campus, you'll get to know all the people you've virtually gotten to know. You'll get to know them in face-to-face, and you get to know all your professors as well. But make sure you engage, because it will be different. You'll have to engage virtually and respectfully throughout the whole thing. When it comes to PAC classes like volleyball or yoga, will these be online? Yes. Most of our PAC classes will be online. We have asked for exemptions for some, so please stay tuned. There will be a university-wide announcement on any exemptions coming out within the week. But again, we've changed our physical activity PAC classes over the years to focus more on knowledge and understanding, and less on just simply performance of skills. Not to say that that's the best way to do it, but we're going to adapt as best we can. Okay, Angela's answering a few of those questions. So I think just as I wrap up my piece, I'm very proud that you've chosen our faculty. I do hope that the faculty is still here when you graduate, but whether it's named a faculty, a school, a department in the new structure, I'm pretty sure that it will, from your perspective, be the same people operating in the same way, providing the same high quality degree. For us to ensure that you have the best student experience, which is one of the things that brought me back from Australia, was the history and the tradition of the faculty, of its programs, and of its people. We're a large university with a relatively small program. You'll get to know everyone in your program in ways that you probably didn't even get to know everybody in your high school, because our program is smaller than many high schools. So don't let the large university make you think that you're going to be anonymous. You're not. We are big enough to be small. I say that every year, and people look at me, what's this dean on about? We're big enough to be small because we're big enough that most of the courses that you'll take in our degree, you will take with only students. The vast majority of the students will be our degree students. You won't be taking, you will have the option of taking, but you won't be required to take the vast majority of your courses outside of the faculty. You'll take the vast majority of your courses within the faculty, and you'll see some students that come in and study with us, but you will be with your cohort throughout your degree much more than you would be at a much smaller program where, because of economy of scale, they have to study with students from all the other degrees. Nothing wrong with those people, but you get to know your classmates in our faculty because we are big enough to be small, which is a bit of a contradiction in terms. So with that, again, I finish by saying I hope to see every one of you, but I challenge you to join us on the MS Bike Ride next June. I'm sure we'll be riding. That will be my final ride because this will be my last year. It'll be your first year, but it'll be my last year as dean. It's a great honor to be the dean of this faculty, and the most exciting thing is the students that we have. So I look forward to meeting you and wish you all the best. If there's any questions, just let myself or David know, and we'll do our best to provide you the answers you need. Back over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dean Mummery. Next, we're going to be talking about the academic and student supports that are offered to students. And to be doing this, I will be introducing another one of our fearless leaders, our Assistant Dean of Academic Programs, Christine Ma. So I don't know if Angela's going to be popping in and out or if you're taking this one entirely yourself, but I will leave it up to you.
Great. Thanks, David. Again, as Angela and Carrie have said, we're really excited that you're here, and we're really here to support you. And that's a little bit about what I'm going to talk about. And that's about, and one of the questions that we've had is about how advisors in KSR will be supporting students. And our advisors are working from home or working remotely right now and are regularly emailing and in communication with students. So if you have questions about whether your program, courses, what you're thinking about for practicum, any of those questions that about your degree or your program, we really encourage you to reach out to our advisors. We're currently doing most of that through email, and we'll start to look at the fall at doing more virtual meetings based on kind of the requirements. But it's really gone actually quite smoothly. And Darcy and Megan are a great team. We also, as David was talking about, we have a practicum advisor, Tracy Watmore, who will be meeting regularly with our students to find out more about where they are in their practicums. As you can imagine, we have had to change the number of our practicums over the last, for the spring and summer and also for the fall, and we'll be a bit in a waiting pattern for the winter as well. So we really encourage you to contact our advisors. I'd also say just some of the questions coming up around recommendations for technology, information on classes that will be online. The university has launched just recently a Campus Life Fall 2020 website. If you actually Google that on the U Alberta website, it'll come up. It has a number of overarching resources. So there you'll find out, they'll have regular updates about what classes will be in person across the university. They have computing recommendations. They have tips on online learning. They have a number of online tutorials for e-class. So it's a really good hub for information as you prepare to come back to university or to start university in general. Again, just how people can be involved, even though we're not actually on campus, whether you're an international student or a domestic student. KSR's, as David said, is going to be involved. And I also really encourage you to check out Campus and Community Recreation. That's the area that's in our faculty, but also provides all recreational activities and opportunities for students and staff and community on campus. So they're actually running courses right now. They have free online courses, fitness classes. They have some, they're actually going to be running some in-person ones outdoor over the summer. So I really encourage you to check out how you can already get involved, meet some of our instructors and other students and staff who are taking courses. So I think I just wanted to kind of leave with that and leave a little bit more time for questions. The only other thing I would mention is we have had questions about people wondering about graduate programs, particularly rehab medicine or medicine. And some of the areas, things that we're looking at doing for the fall is to work with our partners, our colleagues in rehab and medicine about doing some group virtual advising or kind of a webinar on what requirements are to get into those programs. So look for that through your ualberta.ca emails if that's an area of interest to you as you work through your program here. And I would really encourage you to start thinking about that early in your program as well, for those who are maybe they're coming into their first or second year. If that's an area of interest, I would really encourage you to start thinking about it now and being involved in those. I think I'll turn it over and I'll just leave it open to more questions. Either if people want to speak up and share them, or if they just want to continue to share them in the chat. And I'll just turn it over to David as well to manage that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. All right, so I will act as moderator and we will see what kind of questions come up. Please feel free to type your questions in the chat. We do have a pretty good chunk of time, about 15 minutes, just to answer questions in person. I know that we've been answering a lot of questions in the chat as they've come up, but if you want us to explain it in person, please feel free to just re-ask it. Or if you have really specific questions, please feel free to go. So one question says, if we were able to come to Edmonton, would that be recommended? So I'm gonna probably put that one to Angela.
That's a hard one. I want to encourage students to make the decision that's best for them and their life circumstance, and know that you will be supported, whether you're with us here on campus or in Edmonton or in another part of the province. We are working hard to ensure that regardless of the geographical location of our students, that they are supported through the completion of their coursework. Instructors are working hard. I know at my level, we're working very hard with calendar language and scheduling and so forth to make sure that you can complete courses regardless if you're here with us or not. So I don't want to make your decision for you. It is a great question, and I know there's some hesitation to not be here with us, but I want to emphasize that if you choose not to be with us geographically, we will do our very, very best to ensure that not only you have a great experience on the online or remote delivered courses, but that you're supported based on your personal life circumstance. So sorry I didn't answer the question, but I hope that helps a little bit.
There's a question that's come up about classes that have gained an exemption from remote delivery and for face-to-face delivery, whether you will actually have to come and take those courses. They will be, when the exemptions are given, that means that there will be some courses that will be offered in face-to-face mode, but there is a requirement for any exempted courses to provide some accommodation for students who won't be here. So as I said, would you come here if you're taking a full course load, but only one of the courses is face-to-face? They've given an exemption. That exempted course will have to provide remote delivery. So you will not be forced to come if that exemption is given.
And just to follow up that question, Carrie, a question came in about resources for special needs learning or students who have approved accommodations. I know the Dean of Students, in particular, the Associate Dean of the Dean of Students, Helen Valiantos. She's working very, very hard to update the Accessibility Resources website. And there's significant work going into in expanding the supports for instructors in order to help and assist with approved accommodations or accommodations for learning and those individuals who are living with disability in terms of learning. So there is significant amount of work. I encourage you, when you're exploring, working through the University of Alberta website, in the search bar, search Dean of Students, and not only will you see a tremendous number of academic supports available to all of our community members, you will see significant work that's going on currently and as I speak to get ready for fall to make sure that all of our learners are supported in their courses. So it's a great question. And yes, I can't give you the specifics because I'm still waiting to see them myself. But I know there's going to be significant work going on in terms of delivery formats. So if you need alternate formats of delivery, that work is happening. Most of the delivery of accommodations for students will happen at the instructor level, but the Dean of Students is preparing to provide a numerous number of supports to those instructors. So I keep your eye on that, and we'll release that as soon as we have it ourselves.
And there was a question about a specific date for exemptions. We expect that those exemptions will be publicly disseminated by mid-July. We don't have a specific date. They did say early July, but certainly no later than mid-July. I think if we gave you a specific date, they probably failed to meet it. It's just been the way that things have gone lately. But I would say by mid-July that will be disseminated.
I'm just going to jump in here and answer two quick questions. The first is just really if students are looking for their required textbooks, you can find that list in Bear Tracks under your course schedule. And if you have any trouble whatsoever, either with finding your textbooks, remembering where to go to for accessibility resources, Dean of Students, literally anything, you can always start with your academic advisors in a student services office. They'll be able to point you in any directions there. Just kind of trying to make sure that I didn't miss any questions. Somebody had asked if Christine could, or if we could revisit what she was talking about in regards to the Faculty of Rehabilitation and Medicine. Do you mind just reiterating your point?
Yep. So we do have both now and on a regular basis, students who are interested in, after their KSR degree, looking at rehab and medicine. And you can certainly talk to your advisors about your KSR degree and how to best prepare yourself. But really the experts in the admission and requirements for those programs are rehab medicine and medicine. And so we are looking at doing a kind of a webinar with our colleagues from rehab medicine and medicine to talk about what it looks like if you're looking to apply to those programs. And so that's what we would do. I would also encourage, if that's an area that you're interested in, so you'll see that through your UL Alberta email. We have a bi-weekly student newsletter, which is chock full of information. And I really encourage you to open those when you get them through your UL Alberta, and that's where you'll find out information about different webinars, professional development opportunities that we might be having. But I really encourage you, Rehab Medicine particularly has a really good website about admissions to their program. So I really encourage you to have a look at that and to look at it regularly because requirements for admission do change for programs on a regular basis. So just to be familiar with that. So hopefully that answers your question.
Awesome.
Question
Thank you so
asking
much.
if you could, if someone can sign a waiver to be to attend in-person courses. If a course gets an exemption, then they will offer face-to-face, and students will be able to select that up to a certain number because there will be some constraints in terms of numbers. We have to follow social distancing, etc. If a course does not get an exemption, then no portion of that will be delivered in a face-to-face. It will all be required to be delivered remotely. So there'll be no opportunity for exemption there. The exemptions will come out. And Angela, there was a question about whether any first-year courses applied for exemption, and I've seen the list and I can't remember now.
I don't believe there was. But again, I don't have the list in front of me. I'm sorry. Our Vice Dean, Dr. Nick Holt, has been handling that. I know that we did put in for 11 course exemptions, and I believe the majority of them were lab-based and had a significant pedagogical reason for those applications. I don't believe there was a first-year course.
Yeah, I don't think so. I couldn't remember exactly.
That's incorrect. There was a first year, and it was a PAC course. It was a PAC course, a physical activity course, from what I can recall.
Gymnastics. I can't recall. There's a question about will we know before fall term begins whether winter term will be delivered remotely? it's a very delicate balance, and it's a balance that we've been working our way through on almost a daily basis. All the deans meet 3 times a week since the beginning of the COVID pandemic to discuss how we move things along, because on one hand, we want to give everybody ample opportunity to both prepare to teach the class and prepare to take the course. So if you need to move to Edmonton, make arrangements, etc., we understand fully that we have to give sufficient notice. The other side of the coin is that if it looks like everything's going to reopen and then we commit to having people come, and there's any change to that, the infamous second wave, then things are much more difficult. So we're going to try to strike that balance. We'll try to give notice as quickly as possible, and I would think that it would be by very early fall. But there's 2 issues there about moving too quickly and moving too slowly. So we are a little bit trying to do things just right. And yeah, the thing about unprecedented is, yeah, we've never done this before. So we're just trying to do the best job we can. And what I found so far is everybody's doing a pretty darn good job considering.
I just want to answer the question about midterm and final exams. If there is an examination in your course that you're taking, and again, it will vary from course to course as instructors make decisions about the assessments in their courses. If you have an exam, it will be delivered remotely through typically the eClass platform. We have what's called a quiz tool. I know it's a quiz, but your exams are often delivered through that tool as well. You may have some instructors that actually use the exam proctoring tool called Exam Locks, which is also part of the eClass platform as part of the examination and online remote delivery. So again, I don't want to give you an exact answer as exactly what it's going to look for, but most cases, I would say a good 90 to 95% of cases where you see an online exam, it will be delivered through the eClass platform. And again, it's called the quiz tool. When you're on the Information Services and Technology website, again, when you're exploring, we'll share these resources with you. But they have got great tools called the knowledge base. And in the knowledge base, there's a mini tutorials of all the cool little tools that are available in eClass and you'll be using while you're completing courses. So the majority of the courses you take in KSR will be delivered through the eClass quiz tool on the learning platform that we use in our faculty and across the university.
And you will get to practice quizzes using the online orientation module I made. So you'll get to practice them in a very non-pressure environment.
In the chat function, I sent around a link to our international opportunities and said that people should consider now and consider early and consider often getting an international opportunity during your degree. I honestly think now more than ever, international opportunities are exceptionally important. The world is a very unusual place, politically, health-wise, but politically. Black Lives Matter, racism, all of the issues that we see playing out in front of us. You are the people that will help change the world, and ideally for the better. And I say this with all seriousness. It doesn't really matter what we teach you in the class if we don't make you better people and you don't make yourself better people through the course of your degree. I think the world needs this type of education now more than ever, and international opportunities are key to that. I moved sight unseen. I moved my wife and 2 very young children to Australia, and I wouldn't say that Australia is all that different, but we lived a different culture. My children grew up in a different culture. One daughter still lives in Australia, and one daughter now lives in Istanbul and is married to a Turk. We've internationalized our family. I think it's extremely important now that you, as students, start to think about, and I know there's pressure for you to perform academically, but you have to make a change for the better to yourself, to all of those around you, and international opportunities. And Christine Ma has worked in our international office as our assistant dean in that area for a number of years. And we've developed some excellent opportunities: Norway, Germany, New Zealand, England, Australia. Actually, we can get you into China. We can get you almost anywhere in the world you want to go, and we'll integrate it into your studies. But I can't stress enough how the experiential aspect of your degree will, in the long term, mean more to you than the lectures. So please look at that, probably third or fourth year, but look early, look often, and really consider it, because education is more than a lecture. Education is more than an exam. And I taught for many years, and I think lectures are great. I think exams are important. But the experiences that you'll get and the experiences that you need to plan for, because it takes some planning, but they'll be more memorable than anything else you do here. So please check those links. I'd like to see a spike from this class of 2024, I guess, in terms of our international experience. So I speak very highly for that.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. So I think that the vast majority of questions have been answered. If we did miss anything, everybody should have my email address. I manage the ksr.info@ualberta.ca email address that everything was sent out through. All the resources that were mentioned in today's presentation, I'm going to be sending out to all participants and all students as well. So please, if you missed something, and if for some reason it's not on that resource that I sent out, please let me know. I'm an advisor. It's what I'm here to do. So please communicate with us. Let us know what you need from us. And thank you all so much for coming out and learning more about what fall 2020 is going to look like. We're all very excited to have you. And yeah, thank you again.
Thanks, everyone. I look forward to meeting you when you're on campus.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for joining
Thank you.
us. I look forward to seeing you in fall. Sorry, Christine.
Have a good night.